Hi, everybody. I know this is not the usual time. I have a very busy day today, for one thing, and with the news that just broke, I have a lot to say. Or maybe not so much to say, but at least people will understand where I'm coming from and directly saying this not only to all Browns fans, but to the other so called journalists who are reporting Northeast Ohio sports. Uh, this is not a prognostication thing. Moose is joining me. Hi, Moose. How are you?
Not too bad today. Builders just left, so I was about to have my nap, but you caught me right before my nap, and I thought, fuck it. If it'd been a
Instant,
half hour later, I'd be asleep, and I wouldn't know this was on. So,
instant moo head is
instant
going to
mood.
be a new thing that is going to be as my schedule goes and as news breaks and
Instant moo. Wow.
instant moo and it's kind of like instant karma
Wow.
and which is what we have
John Lennon.
with Cleveland, yeah, except we never shine on.
No.
All right, so let's get to the source and the heart of this whole thing. And I am broadcasting this uh, because A, I want to reach more people. And I'm not going to lie, there's no financial incentive, but the old feelings inside of me when I came into a market with energy as a radio station owner to get new listeners. This is what this is. It is to state what this program stands for, has stood for in various forms for going on 26 years now. And as we head into Brown season, it's going to take a specific direction as to how I analyze the team and not in this ridiculous, accusatory, angry kind of society that we live in. There's more to be said about the decision that the Cleveland Browns made today than just whether you liked this quarterback or that quarterback. This show has a basic premise, and I'm going to give you that overview. If a quarterback playing in the NFL breaks huddle and comes to the line of scrimmage to run a play, lifts his head and sees that, in his opinion, the defense is aligned in a way that would make them easily exploited and that an audible could make for a bigger play. And he stepped up to the line of scrimmage and overrode the head coach and the play caller, whoever, if it's one and the same, uh, and changes the play at the line of scrimmage. He then takes the snap, and his offensive line are not sure exactly about the play that he audibleized into and immediately miss their blocking assignments. The quarterback drops back to make a play that isn't there, gets strip sacked, and the other team picks up the ball and runs it 80 yards the opposite direction for a touchdown. Now, I have to ask you something, and not just Moose, but everybody out there.
I'm here.
If this happened in an actual important regular season football game, would that quarterback be in trouble with the head coach and the organization? This is a yes or no question.
Yes.
Well, you would think so. You would think that the head coach would say, "Damn it, I called to play for a
God
reason,"
dang it.
and you
Dag nabbit.
yeah, and you turned around and you changed it and you fucked up. All right. What if it happened more often than just once, but it became a periodic thing that resulted in confusion on the field and disastrous results?
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
I already know the answer, and you all know the answer too out there. It would be that quarterback would sit.
Yeah.
So sometimes a quarterback who has good experience will audibilize out of a play, and the ownership and the coaching staff really put faith in the quarterback. If Patrick Mahomes went up to the line of scrimmage and audibilized out of a play, it would be because, well, he sees something, and his results have been historically good in situations like this. If Bernie Kosar went to the line of scrimmage and he saw that safeties were creeping up, and he audibilized into a double move pattern that results in a big play, and that's why Bernie was known as a gunslinger. But the fact is, Bernie didn't have the strongest arm in the world at all, but he had a mentality that if he saw the ability to exploit something, he would exploit it. And that's part of the job.
Yeah, I mean, and they're few and far between. Peyton Manning, Omaha, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. Those are the people you think of doing that and being successful.
Yeah, veterans.
There's no fucking else. Nobody fucking else is doing that.
Right. So my point is that he would be benched.
Yeah.
Now, let's take a similar situation. Quarterback who's an experienced quarterback is standing in front of a group of people who are sports writers in front of the press of Northeast Ohio, and is given the opportunity before the selection process takes place, and they give him the opportunity to speak, and he audibilizes off the script, takes the bait of the press, and proceeds to tell the entire world that they're full of shit and that his misery is because of the fans. All right?
That happened.
Now, that's a different kind of audible. Why the team would have put him up there in the first place to speak, God only knows. But the fact that he misread the play so badly tells me more about Deshaun Watson than anything he could ever do on a football field. And I want to say this, while you're going to be hearing a lot of screaming, yelling, or whatever on other broadcasts, this show is better. We're better than that. This gives a clear understanding of what the problem is with Deshaun Watson. You can say that his arm isn't as good as it used to be because he had shoulder injuries. You can say that he's not as nimble as he used to be because he had 2 Achilles surgeries, and maybe because he wasn't wearing his boot, if you remember, in photographs, and that resulted in a relapse of his condition that forced a second surgery. You stop and take a look at the decisions that he's made off the field while he was in Houston.
Wow.
Your quarterback is your decision maker. And this is a much bigger problem than, if we're making fun of quarterbacks of the past, that Colt McCoy had a noodle arm, or if Brandon Weeden got trapped under the flag.
Yeah.
Or just didn't know how to.
Kaiser or Cody Kessler.
Just the long line of people who had weak arms, or it's one thing to say, well, we didn't have a good quarterback and we had to play whatever we had. Well, we had a choice here. we had a choice to play any number of people, and the truth is, I would play a little squeaky Dylan Gabriel, who at least hasn't shown that he has disloyalty to the organization, that he is capable of at least comporting himself in a way that is fair and knowledgeable. And for all the talk about Shedeur, and a lot of the talk comes from Shedeur and goes around in circles, and you got to kind of follow where he's going. He hasn't really, with the exception of 2 speeding tickets, he really hasn't done anything. And of course, Myles Garrett did that more than that. Myles Garrett even rolled the vehicle. So it's not that Shedeur's a rookie, really, as far as his ability to handle the press, but he does a better job than a guy who's been in the league for this long. And again, the point of all of this is, if you stood up in defiance of the customers, of the people who were supporting the business that you worked for, it would be like if somebody from Tropicana, got the opportunity to speak to the press about their wonderful fresh squeezed taste orange juice and went up there and basically said, the problem with the juice is it gives people the runs. We're still working on that, but boy, it sure tastes good. I mean, there is no way that anybody who would do something like that, and so many times, should even be on the team, let alone be starting.
Or even in the league, mate,
Yeah, well, that's for the league and other teams to decide.
Correct, yeah.
He's just not worth anything at all. And the more they trust this guy, the more he lets them down. And this, I'm not going to bring up women. That's his personal judgment. And which, again, if you were standing at the line of scrimmage and you were a famous person who was making a lot of money and had just signed a $230 million contract, would you have at least been contrite that your judgment was bad in what you did? You don't have to stand up and say, yeah, I raped him, because there was no evidence of that, and it got shot down in court twice. The thing that bothered me about Watson in that whole instance was not what he did with whom. It was his reluctance to accept any responsibility for it at all.
Yeah, a lack of humility, too.
Yeah, it's like, well, I already signed the $230 million contract and I'm good to go.
Yeah, and I must be worth it. I'm worth it. $130 million.
So, again, I look at the situation and I say, and now his feelings are hurt because people are booing him.
Well, it is this.
It is part of a greater problem. And Deshaun Watson should have been gone a long time ago. And he already told the world that he spits basically on the press. And basically I spit on them too, to be very honest. I have no respect for people who just keep teeter-tottering on, every person who was supporting, Deshaun Watson, from Mary Kay Cabot on down the line, every person who was saying that was the right choice, those emperors wear no clothes.
Yeah.
They could have kept their mouths shut. Mary Kay Cabot could have kept her mouth shut and just analyzed things. But no, she knew that the organization was going to go in that direction and she was currying favor. And that makes me disqualify her. Not going to insult her anymore. I'm not going to call her names. I discredit her as a journalist because there's no basis for what comes out of her mouth except what she's being paid to say by the person who is the real cancer in this situation. Only Jimmy Haslam could find somebody as bad as Deshaun Watson in decision making, in public decorum, in the way he processes, not only plays at the line of scrimmage, folks, but how he does it in life. This person would not have a job anywhere in the league, and he never will again, because the whole world saw him go up in front of the press and audibilize and just tell them, well, you know, these fans make me sick, basically, because they booed me.
Wow.
You know, it's like, and then, oh, these women, they have the nerve to try to sue me after I went into rooms that the Texans helped me set up. Don't let the Texans try to be holier than thou in all this. They're not. They had employees on their staff who helped get the hotel rooms where he did whatever he did with the Instagram girls. I will say again what I've said from the beginning. Where are the Instagram girls now? What do they do for a living now? They were not good people either. They were not people of good character, of integrity. Now, that doesn't mean you deserve to have something bad happen to you. It just makes you what you are. Jimmy Haslam has no integrity. Deshaun Watson has no integrity. Yet the press is trying to tell me that a 23-year-old kid who's never really had much of an opportunity except an abundance of press because of his last name is a really bad guy. All I can tell you about Shedeur is that it's a little irritating that he has this arrogant view of his relationship with God, and sometimes it can be very off-putting. But he hasn't done anything that would go against his employer, that would hurt the business of football in Cleveland.
I would agree.
Deshaun Watson has done more to destroy the confidence of fans in Cleveland Browns football. But he's a distant second to Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah.
And in the end, if you want to come and boo at the stadium, God bless you. God bless you. I would urge people not to go at all. Because, there comes a point, the reason that Jimmy Haslam and people like Jimmy Haslam continue to do what they do is because they know in the end there's more money in it for their pockets. It's the only reason why they do it. It isn't about succeeding in anything. It's about, and he'll sit there before the season when he's visible, before he becomes invisible during the season when they lose, and he will say, well, we're still really all about winning. We're still all about winning. But he's never been about winning anything except money.
Yep.
And there are a lot of people who sell drugs who make a lot of money, and they're doing the wrong thing. That ethically, they're depraved people. Jimmy Haslam is depraved in a different way. It's all about starting out from a wealthy family. It's all about never really having to worry to scrounge how to get your next meal. It's all about his feeling that he's allowed. He's just allowed to do whatever it is he wants to do. Empty that stadium, because when you pay money, and I know, well, I paid for season tickets. Fine, you lost money to Jimmy. Don't do it again. Don't go to the games. I want an empty stadium. And the reason I want an empty stadium, it's the only way to get through that thick skull of Jimmy Haslam, that he can build a new goddamn dome. And if nobody shows up, if the city loses interest, yes, he can move the football team. Good.
Yeah.
That isn't a representation of the values of Northeast Ohio. I grew up here. This is not what we cheered for.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This is not, we looked forward to football season. Moohead Radio was created because of Cleveland Browns football, because they were new and starting out and they weren't good. And I was hoping that, we could see them get better. And it hasn't gone that way. But we don't choose the endings to the stories that we cover. And we do what's right or what's wrong. And Mary Kay Cabot and that group of people, they're doing the wrong thing, just like Jimmy Haslam. And she was rewarded with a bogus Hall of Fame entry for journalists, when there have been people who have tried to find the truth for an entire career of journalism who don't get in because they don't curry favor with these few wealthy men. She took the easy way out. And she's just as damaged morally in her way as Deshaun Watson is. She has no reason to be writing about this subject based on the way that she has comported herself professionally. I have been saying the last, however many months it's been, that Deshaun Watson would be the starting quarterback. I also said that they should have gotten rid of him. And this is not after the press conference. This is long before the press conference, and brought in a veteran quarterback. If you're not comfortable that Shedeur is, ready, and, I don't think Shedeur should be ready. He hasn't had a decent offensive line to play in front of him.
No, he's like a DTR with a famous name.
Yeah, and
he's unproven.
And a lousy playbook from Kevin Stefanski, a team that had given up on Kevin Stefanski anyway. The Wyatt Tellers and the offensive linemen who weren't even in physical condition by their own admission during football season, that they were going to West Virginia into the mountains to party hardy instead of work hard. I don't know how it's like a crazy circus that has no ringleader.
Yeah.
And now people are getting down on Todd Monken because he's 60 years old. That's the first thing I hear. He's 60. We shouldn't have a 60-year-old coach.
Oh,
I'm 69 years old and more functional than you are, assholes.
And I'm 66, you fuckers.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is that's got nothing to do with anything. The bottom line is, if you want to be a head coach in the National Football League, the unfortunate reality is, in the game of bully ball, the guy with the most money wins. The guy who owns the business wins. I got fired so many times when I managed radio stations around the country. You start losing fingers counting them. I mean, if you go against the grain and you tell somebody something they don't want to hear, you get fired.
You're gone, yeah. Absolutely.
That's the way that it works. And it doesn't work for me. And it never will work for me. And I'm never going to pat Jimmy Haslam on the back and say, hey, good decision there. If somebody said to me under normal circumstances, who should have started, Watson or Sanders, I would have said, based on experience, Watson. But you see, the problem is that he's learned nothing from the past few years. It's one thing when he was walking the face of the earth as Mr. Superstar in Houston, who never had a winning record, really, when he played there, because they didn't have a complete team. And the reason they didn't have a complete team is that the McNair family owns that team, and they have idiots. And they're idiots too, absolute idiots. And, you know, you can't even keep the wife of the owner's mouth shut because they're privileged people. You know what privilege is? Privilege is having the right to own a franchise like the Cleveland Browns and give something to your community. Not a dome. Not a fucking dome where you're going to rake in money. The reason we're put on the earth is not just to better ourselves, but to better other people around us. And we've lost sight of that as a culture.
Yeah.
It's just real pathetic. And people say, you know, Mr. Moohead, what are your politics? The politics of people. There are people who worked. Do you know what Joe Thomas did? Do you have any idea what you have to go through to play an entire career for a bunch of boho owners who, you know, one guy who ran off to merry old England because he was autistic, and then to have the next guy be arrested, in essence, his company busted for cheating his own clients, and he's the new owner, and he shows up in the very beginning, if you remember, because, you know, you can criticize my age, but I'll criticize yours. If you weren't there, you can't know. Jimmy Haslam said he was going to sit in the
dog pound.
In the dog pound.
In the dog pound.
Motherfucking liar. You know, I'm a man of the people. I'm a man. No, you're not. You're a man in a fucking suit. And all you're interested in is how much green you can dig into. That's all. Don't pretend you're something you're not. Mary Kay Cabot, you are not a journalist. You are an employee. That's what you are. I'm lucky. None of these people are into my pockets. None of these people. The people at ESPN Cleveland may be wonderful guys, but they got to work for a living.
Yep.
If they do what I'm doing right now, even though they know that I'm right about this, they can't say this.
They'd get fired.
Get fired
instantly. Censured, or something bad would happen to them.
Just like I did when I was their age, and I did the same thing. I know all about getting fired, and I understand keeping your job.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer fucking is, man. I really don't. I can tell you what I think. If you need a break from talking, you can either carry on cooking and I'll mute, or because I've just kind of let you roll like when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor.
Yes, I'm on a roll.
I remember that.
But this is, you know, through the years, 26 years of doing this.
Yeah, I've been with you since Derek Anderson and Romeo Crennel. So not the entire length of time like Tony the Calf has, but for 20 fucking years, I've been here roughly by your side for, I'd say, about 70%, 80% of the show. So, God damn it. I mean, I'm sick and tired of all this shit. If you really want to get back at Jimmy Haslam Yeah, don't show up at the stadium. That's a fantastic idea. That's what we would do in England. We would protest outside the stadium and not fucking go
Yep.
into the game. Or we would turn our backs at a particular moment in the game, and have big banners up that say "fuck Jimmy Haslam" or whatever. But if you really want to get back at him, fucking go to his $4.1 million house that he has in Bracknell and block off the 3 roads that get into Bracknell with protesters so that he can't even fucking leave his house.
Well,
You know?
And this is really this is really the heart of what we're talking about. Thank you, Rubber City Cards. It's like a pyramid that goes up to the top, and the top of the pyramid is corrupt. Jimmy Haslam is a corrupt man. He's a corrupt businessman. He is a real difficult person to work with, and he will always have the final say, the final decision, and he has absolutely no idea how to audibilize at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and his whole sports group is his family members, all in executive positions. The famed Haslam Sports Group that's building this freaking cyber truck of a stadium.
Well, what I can tell you is this. So many years I've been doing this, and I've been gliding along and ignoring technological things and not using everything at my disposal. And now
I wouldn't say that.
Well, I mean, my time is one thing, but technologically, I mean, not really keeping up with everything. And to be honest, this show doesn't receive any compensation based on how many people watch or how few people watch. But it matters to me now. And the reason it matters to me is because I want more viewers. I want more viewers because I at least want to know if there are other people,
like-minded people out there,
who are sick of this nonsense, who want to talk about this, and who want to be involved in, the good decisions that the team makes when they draft good young players, or are not afraid to talk about the people in the organization who are inept. That's, and I've done funny stuff, goofy stuff, making fun of Joe Banner, and I through the years I have made fun of Hugh Jackson. I have,
and I've been there egging you on and doing asking for the impersonations and all that shit.
This is not the era of humor. This is not the times we're living in, and nobody understands programming better than I do. How to tap in to what people are interested in, whether it's the music they listen to or the entertainment. We used to have a saying in the radio stations that I owned many years ago that you were running about 20 minutes worth of commercial content for every 60 minutes of or every 40 minutes of music you were playing, right?
Yeah, that's wild,
Yeah, that 15 to 20 commercials, depending on what time of the season, whether it was Christmas season or whatever. And what we promised our listeners was you never knew when something really funny or interesting was going to happen. We would run commercial breaks, and in the middle of the commercial breaks, we would run fake commercials that were absolutely off color and really inappropriate. And people would go,
"What?"
But you see, and we got called for it. And I said, something to the advertisers, I said, people here, we'll have more music coming on next after these words. And it's like, whoop, they'll switch the dial.
Correct.
If you want your ad to be heard, people who are there all the time for you, they're going to hear your message. And Cleveland Browns and Jimmy Haslam, you got to do things for the fans. The only reason you have this football team is you sneaked in as a goddamn minority owner in a boys club, and that was your entry into things. That was your entry into the big time.
Yeah.
And so you cuddled up with them, and that minority ownership blossomed when the league said, well, let's give this dummy the Browns franchise because the fans are making a real stir. Remember the great stir and the people who are legendary in Northeast Ohio now? Because they were the guys who brought football back because they wouldn't leave it alone.
Yeah.
So those are the people who are to be congratulated. Those are the people who are, and I'm looking at my phone here intentionally for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, so Jimmy Haslam is piggybacked on the back of all that work to bring this franchise back to Cleveland after Modell moved away, and he's never once done like a fan appreciation thing that I'm aware of. You know, it's like the guy has no soul.
Well, I mean, there is, and this is the unfortunate part. Make him pay, Misney him,
Yeah.
make him pay in the way that you can, and you're never going to stop him because he's going to make his multi millions and billions of dollars. He's so far along in the game now that the money has just, believe me, if you made
It
good,
multiplies out.
oh my God. I mean, and who knows what else he's doing as far as his investment portfolio. And I really don't want to get into that. But the only way you're going to be heard is the way that people were heard. And back then, we didn't even have the internet, man. We didn't even really have the internet. It was slow and it was inefficient.
It was like 56K back then when
Yeah.
the Browns came back.
Yep. And
You could
now
barely get an audio program.
you could make a hell of a ruckus. You could make a hell of a ruckus. But it all starts with this, just telling him this isn't acceptable. And all he had to do was tell Watson what you did up there in front of, you just shit on the organization. You shit on yourself. You shit on the fans, and it's inappropriate. And you got to leave. That's the simplest way any good business person would handle this.
Yeah, and he could have gotten kudos from the fans if he had actually gone public and done something like that. I mean, Rubber Steve's mentioning Dan Gilbert. I can't imagine Dan Gilbert putting up with a player that had
Not at all
near the nerve of doing what Deshaun Watson has said in public.
He has exhibited absolutely, and I don't care. I don't want him on his knees apologizing to people.
Yeah, there's no point in that. But I think Rubber City's comment there is fair comment, man. We actually have, Dan Gilbert has his faults, but he's cared about the fans. Why can't Jimmy do that?
Well, it's one thing being kind of a hard-ass businessman, and Dan Gilbert was pretty hard-ass businessman.
Yeah,
and I didn't really particularly in my early years doing this broadcast care for some of the things that he did with employees and he too boycotted certain journalists based on what they said.
Yeah.
But something, the picture gets clearer over time, and the Cavaliers have given all Northeast Ohio a hell of a lot more entertainment value than the Cleveland Browns have.
Oh,
and it's a football town.
It's a football town, God damn it.
And they fucked that up. And it's just really hard for me, having done this for all this many years, to sit here and say, well, this is just the newest wrinkle of ineptitude. There comes a point where you just put your foot down. So the only reason I want more viewers is to spread a word across the internet that is none of this is acceptable.
Yeah.
And if you choose to spend your money on it, that's your business. And if you're already in for the season tickets and you want to go to the stadium and boo, I think that
Do
you
whatever
should
you
pull
want.
your shorts down and show your ass right on camera. I'm serious. Because that way the league won't come back and televise your games. They're not going to pan the crowd if they know it's a bunch of ass cheeks being pointed at the cameras. There are lots of things you can do in defiance. Believe me.
Yeah.
I'm a naturally defiant human being. I don't like to be told when I know something is wrong. I do not follow people. And the thing that's funny is I don't, block people on the internet. And there are people who, what I do is I mute them. Let them carry on and say whatever the hell they want to carry on, but not on my timeline. And God damn it, let Watson go wherever the fuck he wants to go, but not Cleveland. And he's going to find out that there is no owner in the NFL now who will invest in his football future based on what he just did. No one.
I'd be pretty shocked if there was. Yeah.
And there's no chance that he's going to go out and prove his value with a team that's void of offensive linemen, of experienced offensive linemen, and a team that has a first-year head coach and the circus that he has created by his own stupidity.
Yeah, and then 3 rookie wide receivers and first-year running backs and all that nonsense.
It's just...
I don't know. We had a break here, or are you still rolling?
I have somebody coming here who's got some work to do here in my house, and he's going to be here any minute. So say what you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a cynical ploy, this starting Deshaun, because I think what's going to happen is that they know he's got diminished skills. They know he can't, find receivers, and he's going to get hurt or cut after the first 2 away games, and that week 3 when we're playing at home, there will be a different starting quarterback. Now, whether that's Sanders or Gabriel, or whether it's some veteran that they pick up off of some scrap heap who's out playing with his children right now, I don't know, but I think that I think they're playing Watson for these 2 games. He'll get hurt. He'll be so terrible that the management will come out and say, "Oh, we gotta cut him now. Now we can cut him," and not get any backlash from anyone anywhere. And but that's cynical if that's what they're doing, because Watson at the moment is not the best quarterback, nor is there. They should have had a better option, like you've been saying. They should have had a backup quarterback ready to go in, a Gary Danielson type bloke that can play the position. And you've said that for months. I've agreed with it. I don't know whether, and it all boils down to cap space and what time they get cut and all that bullshit. Well, fucking Cam can go fuck himself, because I'm not calling him Jimmy Haslam anymore or James Haslam III. I'm calling him Jimmy Has Scam, because that's what this fucker is. He doesn't deserve his name to be said correctly. So I think that's what's going to happen. The quarterback that's going to be starting in October may not even be on the roster. So I don't know, man. It's just annoying. And I'm not going to watch the games live. I am not. I've got the Zone here in England. Costs £179. You get access to Red Zone. You get access to all the games live, every single game. Doesn't matter whether it's on Prime or Netflix or fucking Channel 5 or Sky Sports. Well, the Sky Sports games you actually don't have access to, but everything else you do. And I don't have to watch the games live. I can watch it on a Monday afternoon like it is now, and the 40-minute highlight version, and not fucking ruin my Sunday night, because these games are right in the heart of Sunday night between 6 p.m. at night to 9:30, and then the post game show. That basically, puts me apart from the rest of my family or my friends that don't give a shit about the NFL, and why should they? They're English, you know.
There's the name that comes up.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I mean, that's what this is what I'm on about. I want to improve my own life by not watching this shitty team and ruining my Sundays. You know.
But for me, somebody has to at
But
least be believable.
You're on the chin. You're being the team player that we need to get the clarion call out there and say, this is enough is enough. And
they don't own me. They don't own me, and they never will. And that's how I go to sleep at night, and how I wake up in the morning. Look what we did. Look what we didn't do. You had an opportunity to bring Nick Chubb into camp.
Yep.
And instead, you just let him retire and say how much he loves the Browns, and you never loved him back, because there is no love in this organization.
No.
There's no loyalty in this organization.
No.
You want to know what happens as a result of this? You get yourself a backup tight end at a college, and he decides he'd rather go back into the portal.
Thank you.
And play for LSU than play for the Cleveland Browns. Way to go, Jimmy. People don't understand that the fans may be pissed off, but people will avoid this team like a plague because of this inept owner. That's the fact, Jack.
Yep. And this poor player, DeQuan, whatever his name is, that's gone back to LSU, is getting so much stick online. And I say, God damn it, why shouldn't he be? I mean, how many people go for a job, spend 2 years in it, and then realize that, oh, maybe I need to go back to university, or maybe I need to go back to vocational school and get some training so that I can get a better job somewhere else? I mean, people leave their pro work all the time and go back and get training. Why can't NFL players, if they're not succeeding on the NFL, go back to university, But that's a topic for another day. But
well, I mean, it just shows that somebody who gave up his body, the Joe Thomases, the Nick Chubbs, to play losing football for a guy who's accumulated more wealth than he could ever spend in 100 lifetimes. They've given their fractured bodies to that man. And guys want to play football, at least they're being compensated and being paid money to do it.
Yeah.
You out there aren't being paid a goddamn thing to support this. You're not.
It's costing us.
It costs you. That's right. If you want to stay home and watch it on television and be a fan, God bless you. God bless you. Don't go to the stadium. Let him feel what it feels like to be building a new building that nobody will come to unless he's gone.
He needs to be shunned, like the old Amish thing of shunning people, or like the ancient Greeks used to fucking exile people. And when you got exiled back in 3,000 years ago, you didn't have a lot of fucking places to go that would be friendly to you. You didn't. So that's what should happen to the Aslam family. There should be protesters outside their fucking Bracknell mansion day
and look, there are ways of doing things. If you want to watch the games and you're sick and tired of how many different silly networks they can put these games on to squeeze more money out of you, just do your research. You don't have to pay these fucking people a dime.
Correct.
And it really, it just makes me sick. The whole thing makes me sick. This is supposed to be something that brings communities together. And look what it's done.
It's torn Cleveland fucking
Apart.
It's-
Absolutely apart.
There are people that hate each other because of this team and this ownership and this fucking mess, you know?
All Watson had to do was to go up in front of the press and say, I realize that what I did was not the right thing to do. And, and I can't go back and change that, but I can move forward. And by telling you what I'm telling you is to prove to you in some small way that I realize that I screwed up and that my character is gaining because of the mistakes that I've made, and I've learned something. This guy's learned nothing.
Yeah, he could not have been. I mean, neither him nor Haslam must have been raised well. They weren't raised with
no values
sort of
whatsoever.
morality or values. And it doesn't matter what religion you come from. You know, you could be Hindu, Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Buddhist, Confucian, whatever. If you don't have the fucking golden rule inside of you, and if you don't have fucking morals, and if you don't care about other people at all, then you deserve everything that fucking happens to you.
And and I'm about done because I have a guy coming here who's got to do some work in the house, and I got to be here. I just wanted to do this program. And again, I will, at the end of the program, for those who have joined in recently, I will say, I am trying to get new viewers because there is a point where the trash that you're getting from Northeast Ohio journalists is garbage. It's the same shit, and that emboldens them to support Jimmy Haslam for doing what in the hell he's done. And now there's a real problem, because there were a lot of people who just didn't want Shedeur Sanders to be the quarterback. And that was a point of contention. That's a point of contention. And now the Watson thing, it's like, oh my God, they've actually named him the starter after he went out and went on that tirade up there. Why, now you can't be in either guy's corner. If you sided with Watson all this time, you can't slide back onto the Shedeur wagon.
No.
You can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, the only one that's held their head up above water in this whole thing is Dylan Gabriel, who's not. He may have embarrassed himself on the field, but he hasn't embarrassed himself with his behavior. So,
if I'm going to lose, I want to lose with people who are at least genuine people, who are good people at heart, and who are trying their best. I don't believe any of that about Deshaun Watson. Now, I will say this about Shedeur. He was raised in a very wealthy family in a privileged way, and the way he carries himself certainly shows that. And that in a working class area like Northeast Ohio, that rubs wrong. We like the Bernie Kosars from Boardman. We like the guys who are the Joe Thomases, the Hunters from Wisconsin. We like guys who are manly men.
And my favorite player was Frank Minifield and Hanford Dixon all those years ago. I mean, those guys fucking played, and you still see them popping up at Browns things every now and then, signings and stuff. They're still about. So I don't know, man. It's disgusting, and I'm not watching the games live. I mean, if they somehow magically get a new quarterback and start winning, then I will come back. But I'm not watching these games live until that happens.
Well, then you can't add anything to these programs.
Well, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna watch the game. Mondays. I'll watch the
in time.
I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna.
You're not going to be on the post game shows.
I'm not going to be on the post game shows or the halftime shows. I'm not going to ruin my Sundays because there are times I've been at like in-laws' house for dinner, and I've stepped away and I've looked at, watched some of the games on my phone, and because I can get, because part of the 180 quid I pay a year, I can watch it on my phone as well. while I'm out and about. So without, fucking ads or anything like that, or dodgy streams or whatever. But yeah, none of that. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to make my life better.
All right. Now, Rubber City Cards, Mondays and Fridays. The show's on Mondays. Usually the Monday shows will start around 4 or 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And the Monday shows are usually go off at 5 o'clock, which has been the traditional Moohead Radio starting time. And then the halftime shows. And, we have a new feature so that, again, trying to keep up with an easier way of getting people on this program. And the thing is, people want to say nasty things and they want to be rude. But if you want to be, and I know Rubber City Cards, you're constructive. The QR code that's up there, you can flash that with your phone. Just take the picture of it and we'll take you to an address, and that'll pipe you right into the studio. So you don't even have to know what the address is to get in to the studio. You can do it right with the QR code. So
and make sure you're following on YouTube with notifications, because then when if the show goes live at a funny time like it did today, then at least you'll know that it's on there. Maybe you already do that because you're here now. So, but for anybody else out there, subscribe to the YouTube channel and have notifications on.
Now, the other thing is the Las Vegas Raiders. They have a Cousins, so they don't have to just throw Mendoza on the field. And what Jeffrey is saying is very true. Is something that I've said over and over again in the last 2 months. If Shedeur isn't ready, and I'm not going to sit and tell you that Shedeur is the answer, because there's so many, it's really difficult. If you draft good players, that's important, but you got a guy at the top who is an egomaniac, and his decision reigns supreme. Jimmy Haslam, when he said we're getting Johnny Manziel, he got Johnny Manziel. And you don't see that kind of shit happening with the Cavaliers, do you?
No,
and
not at all.
Now we've found that Ralphie Velasquez has hit 16 home runs in his last 18 games in AAA. And it's like, we only started hearing about him very recently. He's only 21 years old. And these players will come up. Some of them will succeed and some of them won't. Hanau is going to be a good baseball player in Cleveland. All right. Manzardo, they got to get him back on course, being more selective at what he swings at. Same with Martinez. He has to be more selective, but at least they're fresh names. And we went out and we got Joe Adell, and he's whacking balls out of the stadium. And I don't care if he's a 230 hitter, but he hits 30 home runs a year. That's what the Guardians need. At least they're doing something proactively. Jimmy Haslam does nothing proactively except protect his own ass. That's all he does.
Yeah.
So
you're absolutely right, Rubber City.
Yeah.
Yeah, they damaged Baker, then they got somebody 20 times worse. I don't know. It's disgusting.
But I thank everybody for hearing me out, and I see no reason to do another program today. This will be up, and there will be cut down versions of the program in smaller bites, so that people who weren't here to watch this, and why should they really be? Because honestly, this was not a scheduled program.
And most of you have jobs to do. I mean, we're old. We don't have jobs to do.
Yeah, and this will be all over, the internet for availability for viewing. And Bronk, I appreciate you showing up and helping out. And maybe I'll get you to change your mind about the post-game show, but we'll see.
I mean, I thought I'll tell you what. I saw the other show that with Hammer on, and when you and Hammer are together, that's an excellent show because he's very articulate. And he knows sports better than I do.
Yeah, but unlike us, he has a life.
he's got grandchildren and he's still working and he's refereeing senior volleyball matches, like top level volleyball.
Take it easy, Jason.
But anyway, yeah, it is what it is, man. But yeah, I thought that was a very good post game show when I did finally watch it. So.
All right, man. Thanks everybody for stopping by and listening to what I have to say. A whole lot more to come in the future, and we'll be around to chronicle the entire season.
I'll still be here, man. I will be here, man. Maybe I'll change my mind. You don't know, but I will definitely be here on Mondays and Fridays when I'm fucking awake. That's the big thing. So,
all righty. Anyway. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And you're going to see more of these pop-up kinds of programs too, because there are some things that just can't wait. And
we've gone through the whole show without a funny voice, so maybe it's time for Dwayne Stat to say, "Go fuck yourself."
I think this is me saying to Jimmy Haslam, "Go fuck yourself." Okay, I think that's pretty well clear. I'll be posting when we're on next, which will probably be on Friday. But there
may be something happening between now and then because it's cut down week, and
that's right.
And the game's on Thursday night, isn't it? You're not doing anything for that, are you?
Well, no, I don't even know who's going to play in that game. If they're going to find a bunch of quadriplegics to go out and play, I really have no idea.
It'll be the wheelchair Browns,
or Jimmy will hire some midgets because he thinks it's funny. Whatever the case, we'll see what happens with that. But I got to run now. My dog's barking. Somebody's at the door.
Oh, here comes Topaz. Go run.
All righty.
No.
Take care, everybody, and I'll talk with you all later. Hasta la vista. Bye-bye.
No.